Welcome to episode 4. Today, we're going to focus on opting out, and in order to do that, I'm going to share an incident that happened that illustrates the benefits, but also the limitations, and that is Administrative Procedure 208A and B. And a quick heads up, some of the details are not appropriate for children to hear, so keep that in mind if you have to pause and start listening later. So although I am using incidents from our division on purpose because we have to overcome the it's not happening here mentality, it's really important to recognize that this is not about a single teacher, a principal, a school, a director, superintendent, trustee, division, or even a province. This is a national issue because parents all over Canada have concerns. That is a minimizing understatement. But change has to start here. So we need to have discussions about what's going on here. And the community feedback that we've had is like discussions are welcome. If things are going on, we need to talk about them. There has to be accountability, and we can't change unless we know what's going on. So you are not the only one. That is now changing, and necessary conversations are beginning. So the other thing I just want to say is you're not powerless. There's just more you need to be aware of. And the bottom line is this is about your children and you and respect. So I'm going to qualify the incident that I'm going to share with this illustration. Nobody is interested in banning movies, but as communities and a society, we have instituted ratings to protect minors. G7 plus, PG 13, 16 plus, 18 plus are, and those are good. When you as parents and guardians are paying for the movie, you decide what product your child is going to mentally and visually consume based on their maturity level. And this choice does not make you a hateful person. So I'm going to start by reading from Procedure 208A. The division, you can find this online. The division bases instructional programs on Ministry of Education curricula and approved locally developed courses. So part of what happens when people say we're frustrated with this, it's like, well, it's out of our control. We can't. It comes down from the Ministry of Education. We're going to address that in another video. And then they say in some instances, parents might feel that the instructional program is not aligned with their religious or other personal beliefs. It's not a feeling, they know. This does not align with our values. In these circumstances, the school division encourages respectful and open dialogue between parents, teachers, and principals to address differences. Okay, we know it's different, but we're not changing the curriculum. So the teachers are responsible, principals responsible for overall, but teachers are responsible for aligning instructional programs to provincial curriculum outcomes. Now, there's a difference between curriculum and curriculum outcomes. I actually looked up, this is Health Education 6, because this is what we're addressing today. There are 36 pages of it, and I was deep into other resources, and so I asked my husband if he could read through it. His first response was, it was a little hard not to fall asleep. And it's hugely wordy. And there is a slight bit that actually pertains to what was taught in the class, but there are no lesson plans in this. And so you don't really know what's or how it's getting taught, what words are being used, and what's actually happening in the family. So the curriculum outcomes cannot be changed. Now, according to Deepening the Discussion, Gender and Sexual Diversity, in the 2015 manual, the phrase was our aim and our outcome is to deconstruct family. It's now been changed to deconstruct communities and families. And then they go on to say that curricula are not based on identified units of study, but on learning outcomes that are often woven throughout various units throughout the course of study. And so the goal is to integrate things in every class. They're actually instructed to do that. I have to stay on topic here and not ad-lib quite so much. So I talked about that. Curriculum doesn't have lesson plans, but the goal is outcomes, and we're going to talk about outcomes one of these days. So incidents that we've had reported to us from this whole division, and some are from other divisions, have come from grade 1 to grade 12. So it's a whole spectrum. They've been reported. This is science, math, phys ed, English, social, health, and surveys. So this makes opting out quite a challenge. They go on to say that parents who have concerns regarding the content of the instructional program, which is the teacher's lesson plan, should share their concerns with the teacher. Now, concerns is very different than, I'm opposed to you teaching this to my child. They're not opposed to their child knowing the information, but they're opposed to who it's coming through. So it's a false assumption that parents don't teach their children, and this is what's been claimed, but a more accurate statement is parents aren't going to teach this the way we want it taught. And it's clear, because your beliefs and or religion indicates that you want it to come through a different worldview. So if you can't reach a resolution with the teachers, then you can go to 208B. And this is the letter. This is a letter from 2006. They haven't changed this. And in alignment with the provincial health education curricula. So this letter is only for health, no other subject. Our school will be covering topics related to sexual health education as required. So they don't differentiate that this is health, but this is going to be sex ed. But the aim of the K-12 Saskatchewan health education curricula, it is now changed to grade 5 to 12, and I'll explain how we got that in another episode. But we want to develop confident and competent students who understand, appreciate, and apply health knowledge, skills, and strategies throughout life. Well, health skills and sexual skills are two different things. And so they tell you, you can go to the curriculum, which is why we went to look at it. And you can sign this and send it in and have your child opt out of the class. Now, opting out requires foreknowledge if it's just going to be a part of the curriculum. And in our division, emails are sent to parents, making them aware of what topic is to be covered in class and on which day. So here is what occurred. Because we need to talk about this. This is a text from parents to a principal. Yesterday, my son, husband, and I were having a conversation about his day when he started to tell us that his health teacher was teaching the class about penises and the different sizes they were. At first, he brought it up as a funny conversation that is totally appropriate to the age and understandable. He said, his teacher said, some penises are the size of my pinky, and there are some pretty big penises out there. We started talking about how the teacher came onto this topic, and it was during their chapter on HIV and AIDS, and they were talking about condoms. So the teacher then responded. I'm not done the email or the message, because we have to deal with this in two different parts. And they said, hello, I wanted to contact you in response to your health class concerns. We're currently learning about non-curable diseases, specifically HIV and AIDS, as my email to the class in January stated. Now listen, the parent was very responsible to this and is like, I missed the email. I didn't catch the email. Very, very gracious about it. During the learning, we discussed the disease in general and then move into transmission. Just the details about that. Since HIV is most commonly a sexually transmitted disease, and the students in grade 6 are only 10 to 12 years old, I generally keep our conversations very surface level about sex. However, students are curious and sometimes ask questions. I am always careful and cautious about my responses while keeping the information factual and honest, knowing that discussing this topic with 40 students, males and females together, who are not my children and who all have different levels of knowledge and communication on the topic in their homes is sensitive. When we discussed the 2021 HIV statistics, it shared that there was a very high increase in infections among men and men who have sex with men. Students didn't understand why that mattered. Stop. My response was simply that it is the way that intercourse is had between men, which led to a student sharing anal sex, to which I said yes. A student also asked if HIV can be transmitted through oral sex. I replied yes. Students then asked what oral sex is. At this point in time, we have had 3 comments and replies where anything other than, you know what, I don't have permission from your parents to go into detail about this. So you can ask them at home, or I can send out another email. But this goes beyond the boundaries of what I was given permission to teach today. I told them, because they asked what oral sex is, that it is when men and women use their mouths to perform sexual acts. There was no further discussion. In fact, I encourage students to talk with their parents about questions they have in regard to this. In the prevention section, abstinence is discussed as the sure way to prevent from getting the disease. And it then discusses the need for protected sex if people choose to have sex. Condoms are mentioned. A student asked what condoms are, so I explained they are like a balloon for the penis. Students wondered if there was just one size or many like balloons. So I said there are variations based on sizes, and the student wondered how many variations, and I said there is a range of size. I did use the pinky reference and said there are also bigger penises out there. I want you to know that I am following our curriculum. I do my best to give factual and honest information and only share what the students can maturely handle. 10 to 12 years old, a wide range. That's a judgment call. And it's a judgment call that parents should be making. So the unit's ending, students will be writing a test. Let me know if you have any further questions or concerns about this class. So back to the second half of the message that went out, because it should have been responded to in whole. It was during their chapter on AIDS that they were talking about condoms. Okay. But then my son goes on to tell us that his teacher in previous classes would talk to the class about different ways you can pleasure someone, even with your mouth, and how sex works between a man and a woman, and how sex works between 2 men. I'm not sure if we missed a letter consenting to sex ed class, or is this part of the discussion in this chapter? We are sorry if we did miss it. These are topics we like to discuss with our kids, and if it is sex ed class, we would like to prepare them for. The student's response to the teacher's letter was, yeah, that's not what happened. Nobody asked any questions, and it was embarrassing. Not because of the topics, they're obviously discussing things at home, but because of the environment. And both can't be true unless everything that was communicated by the teacher that day happened as well as things happened in other classes, which wasn't forthcoming. Nothing from the principal to the parents has this been satisfactorily dealt with. So you can't undo what was done. It's the end of the unit. We're going to move on. We're thankful we caught it and could have discussions with our kids. So how do we ensure this does not reoccur? The answer to that is we have had a firm talk with all teachers, instructing them that they do not have to answer a question just because it was asked. I'm just going to leave that there. There are a lot of variables in the opting out process, but any parents and guardians who want to teach their children along the lines of the desired outcomes at the timing that the Ministry of Education deems appropriate for your children, you're free to do so, but you're not free to insist that they are taught to other people's children. So what can you do as a parent? Be vigilant. Don't miss emails. When an email comes out, Ask for the lesson plan. It's like we're talking about this. This is the unit. Can I see your lesson plan? And if you are good to go along with it, great. But maybe communicate that you are only giving permission for what they've given you on the page. And keep that communication going. Another thing that came from a parent to me this week that they decided to do, and this is in an elementary school, they said, we decided to communicate ahead of time, really respectfully with the teachers. We're thrilled with our kids' teachers, but it's the responsibility is on us. And so they said, this is, we're so excited. Our kids are so excited. We just wanted to let you know that this is what our family values are. And we have given our children permission to quietly leave the classroom and either call to get picked up or walk to their grandparents if we're not available. And if there's anything that makes them uncomfortable or does not line up with what we talk about at home, that's a very proactive option that you can add to opting out. So I hope that's helpful. We're going to discuss some other things coming up pretty quickly. I've got about 7 or 8 topics waiting in line, and I don't know what's coming next. We kind of play it by ear as we're getting feedback from people. I know that people are like, what's really happening in the schools and what is the curriculum? And so we're gonna focus on that as soon as we can. Thanks.